Today, Bitcoin holds steady above $71,000 after it was revealed the U.S. economy added far more jobs than expected last month. New York Attorney General Letitia James sues two crypto companies for allegedly defrauding investors of more than $1 billion by targeting their faith. And the co-founder of the DeFi protocol, Veda, weighs in on updates related to crypto ETFs in the U.S. and around the world. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Tanea McKeel. Crypto prices in the red as the S&P 500 hovers at a record even after a stronger than expected May jobs report. As of noon Eastern, Bitcoin dipped slightly but maintained the $71,000 level. Ether edged lower by more than 1%, trading just under $3,800, and Solana lost more than 1.5%. Crypto was in the green for the week, with Bitcoin gaining around 5% for its best week since May 18th and holding above $70,000, a level it has struggled to maintain in recent weeks but revisited this Tuesday. Ether rose less than 0.5% for the week, and Solana climbed 2%. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. In her latest effort to tackle cryptocurrency fraud, the New York Attorney General Letitia James sued two digital asset companies and their executives for allegedly defrauding hundreds of thousands of victims out of more than $1 billion worth of crypto. James said they carried out the alleged fraud by targeting immigrant communities, particularly Haitian New Yorkers, in prayer groups and through social media and WhatsApp group chats. According to James, people who were tempted by the promise of high returns on investments transferred more than $1 billion worth of crypto over a 4-year period to the now-defunct company Novatech, but only less than $26 million was actually used for trading. She also alleged that in the 2 years prior to its collapse, Novatech's founders were also involved in promoting another company, AWS Mining, and claimed that it could triple people's money within 15 months. That company collapsed in 2019, resulting in millions of dollars in losses to investors. In a statement, James said the companies targeted immigrant and religious communities with promises of financial freedom, but instead stole their money and drained their life savings, adding that we are seeing the real dangers of unregulated cryptocurrency platforms with schemes like these. The lawsuit seeks restitution for the victims. James also seeks to ban the two companies and its founders from doing business in New York. Next, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York charged 3 UK nationals in connection with an NFT scam. According to federal prosecutors, the charges stem from the defendants' quote, scheme to dupe victims into purchasing digital art known as the Evolved Apes collection of NFTs. In a statement yesterday, U.S. Attorney Damian Williams said that the 3 allegedly ran a scam to drive up the price of digital artwork through false promises about developing a video game. They allegedly took investor funds, never developed the game, and pocketed the proceeds. He went on to say that thousands of people believed these false promises and were tricked into buying these NFTs. The 3 UK nationals face money laundering and conspiracy to commit wire fraud charges. All right, turning to ETFs for our main story. Crypto World's Talia Kaplan sat down with Sun Raghupathi, the co-founder of the DeFi protocol Veda, to discuss the latest developments related to spot Bitcoin and Ether ETFs here in the US and other regions around the world. He also weighed in on recent regulatory developments in crypto and how the US compares to other countries.
There have been big developments in crypto in recent weeks. In fact, 2 weeks ago, the SEC approved a rule change which would pave the way for spot Ether ETFs. What was your reaction to that decision? Were you surprised by the decision? And overall, what do you think it means for the crypto industry as a whole?
I would definitely say I was surprised. I think myself and probably the market more broadly was pricing in an ETF rejection. That being said, I think my view, and again the view of the community at large, was that an ETF approval was inevitable at some point. So it was definitely a pleasant surprise. I think the price appreciation that ETH saw immediately when sentiment started to change was also generally I think a good thing that the industry felt. I think that the ETFs more broadly represent this crossing of a chasm for crypto assets, right? Like Bitcoin, for example, was kind of a niche asset when it was first created. We've since seen mainstream adoption, and now with the ETF for BTC, we've seen it cross the chasm into institutional adoption. And Ether now is the only other crypto asset in history to do that. I think it's really exciting. I have a lot of thoughts on why I think Ether is going to actually be more appealing to traditional finance and institutions. But yeah, it's a huge day, huge moment. very exciting for the industry, huge win.
Let's talk more about that. Why do you think it's going to be an even bigger appeal for institutions?
I think Ether as an asset and Ethereum as a concept, as a blockchain, makes way more sense to institutions for a variety of reasons. One of those is yield. So if you think about what Ether, the asset, you can do with it, you can stake it, and that is paying you a yield. Now, the ETFs that were approved recently do not include staking. And I think, this is not a huge surprise. It's a win nonetheless, but we will see in the long run, at least is my prediction, ETFs that are staked. So what that means is these institutions are offering these ETFs to holders. In the background, they can stake that Ether and earn a yield on it. Now, the concept of yield is obviously much more appealing to TradFi, and it's something inherent in the Ethereum ecosystem that is not inherent in the Bitcoin ecosystem. And I think that is one thing that traditional finance institutions are going to enjoy about the asset. The other piece is tokenization. So that's a huge topic. We can get into it, but we've seen firms like BlackRock basically confirm that they are interested in tokenization and that they see tokenization as the long-term future for finance and for crypto. And Ethereum, in some sense, is the perfect platform for tokenizing all kinds of digital assets and bringing that into this crypto world.
Exactly. In fact, in March, BlackRock, which is the world's largest asset manager, jumped into the asset tokenization race, creating a fund on the Ethereum network. Now, as we're seeing these developments unfold here in the US as it relates to crypto ETFs, we're also seeing different moves abroad. In fact, this week, Australia launched its first spot Bitcoin ETF that went live. Thailand approved its first spot Bitcoin ETF this week. And in April, Asia's first spot Bitcoin and Ether ETFs started trading in Hong Kong. So what do you think about all those developments and the fact that other regions around the world are getting into these crypto spot ETFs? Do you think it's in an effort to stay competitive with the US?
I think that largely crypto kind of fundamentally is a cross-border international global system. And I think that competition between different jurisdictions and regimes is really healthy for the ecosystem, right? I think that it may be not necessarily a result of trying to remain competitive with the US, but rather we're seeing crypto reach adoption in many different jurisdictions for many different reasons. I think being in the US, we have this kind of privileged view that, okay, we see crypto as this volatile asset. But in a lot of places, crypto is actually not volatile relative to the base currency, right? And so this organic demand that you see in many different jurisdictions is being manifested in many other places are very crypto positive and very willing to engage with that technology from a regulatory perspective. So I definitely think there's some element of competition in trying to capture these markets, but there's also an element of this is a movement that just has to be accepted by the world, and we're seeing that play out.
Sticking with other regions around the world, we have seen major regulatory advancements in places like the EU, UK, Singapore, and Dubai. And it's important to note we have seen some big developments here in the US too in recent weeks. The House recently passed the Fit for the 21st Century Act, which is a crypto market structure bill. So do you think developments like that are enough for the US to catch up to the rest of the world as it pertains to crypto regulation? Do you think the US is falling behind? Where do you stand in that regard?
Yeah, I think we've had some really positive and exciting developments over the past month that, again, everyone is excited about. I do think it's a start, and we are not there yet. I think that what we're seeing now with crypto being kind of this central point that's being debated in politics is really important. But it's just a start. There's a lot of work to do. Regulation is very much still behind, and I'm optimistic that we're seeing kind of the turn of a new era where regulators are willing to engage with the technology and really embrace this movement that I think is very socially positive.
Now, as we're seeing these regulatory advancements in places around the world, many crypto firms, including Coinbase, announced plans to expand overseas. In fact, this week, Robinhood announced that it is buying the crypto exchange Bitstamp for $200 million in cash in an effort to expand outside of the US. So what do you think about that development? And do you think more firms will take moves like this?
I think that we will start to see firms become international. And again, part of this is just, crypto is a global system, and being able to engage with people outside of the US is really important. So yeah, I don't think this is surprising. I think it was pretty interesting. Robinhood's acquisition. It is the oldest exchange alongside Coinbase. That's its own interesting topic. But yeah, I think we'll see more and more firms start to establish presences outside of the U.S. I think it's also really great that we have companies like Coinbase that are remaining in the U.S. and continuing to fight that battle and help bring about I guess education and adoption of crypto within the country as well.
Okay, that's all for Crypto World this week. We'll be back again on Monday, and we'll see you then.